Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl Stevens, Vice President of County Council, and you have arrived via virtual entree or in person at Cuyahoga County's Community Development Community Reinvestment Advisory Subcommittee meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, and we are in the admin building of Cuyahoga County's properties. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Calling the roll, Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Ms. Blackwell. Ms. Blackwell is absent at the moment. Ms. Wheelo. We have Sally Martin in lieu of Ms. Wheelo's attendance on behalf of Ms. Wheelo. Mr. McDermott.
Present.
Ms. Anderson. Ms. Anderson is absent at the moment. Mr. Zone.
Frank Ford here for.
We have Frank Ford here for Mr. Zone. Mr. Benjamin. Mr. Seren.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If there are no matters to be referred to committee, if there are, we can probably do them under the miscellaneous business. I'd like to move, talk about first in our discussion, the working committee update. Frank, do you have?
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
For the record, there was no public comment, and we also need to approve the minutes.
Oh. You know, I love to get straight to work. That's work we already did, so done, moving on. If someone has reviewed these minutes carefully, I'd like to accept a motion for approval.
Move to approve the minutes from the July 21st meeting.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the approval of the minutes is passed. Are you happy now? Okay, thank you. So we move back to discussion of the working committee. an update from you, Frank, on conversations you've had?
Well, hopefully I'm remembering this correctly. The last thing we did. Oh, thank you. Does that sound good now? Yes, I can hear it. I believe the last thing the working committee did when we met, and it's been a while, was to further amend or edit the proposed metrics for tracking and measuring KeyBank's progress on their agreement. And I might invite Gary or Sally to correct me if I'm wrong about that. Okay, all right. And so there is nothing further to update.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Your
I'd like for you to come to the table, introduce yourself as you begin to speak, and give us your name and title. If you switch it among the three of you, each time you will need to say your name again, because people go into the videos at different points in time, and they have to figure out who's speaking, and it's just easier if you say Cheryl Stevens for KeyBank again. Okay, so without further ado, we have, at last month's meeting, or the month before last, because council went on vacation, we had a meeting where we presented a matrix, and we gave that matrix to the representatives of KeyBank. And we are hoping that there are some things that they can agree to that become low-hanging fruit, and then others where they tell us what they need to do in order to set a matrix up. And then there's the third category where we know we need to have conversation and come to a meeting of the minds. And so without further ado, we all know what the matrix says, and you're ready to respond, I presume.
Yeah, so this is Eric Fiala. I'm the head of corporate responsibility at KeyBank. Thank you for having us today. So what we've prepared today is a multi-approach update where our team will share just where we are on overall investments in Cleveland, just for some context setting for the team. We will also share specific progress against the commitments that have been made, and we'll also talk about the metrics. So those are the three topics we have to cover today. I'm going to move us along to the next slide. And instead of introducing my peers, since we'll introduce as each person speaks, I'll let that take place as it does over the course of today's update. There we go. Okay. So starting off, I did want to share where we are on our National Community Benefits Plan, as well as under the plan where we are in terms of investments made in Cleveland. And so on the top half of the slide, you see since 2017, when we started our National Community Benefits Plan, we've invested nearly $900 million in Cleveland. $419 million has been dedicated to affordable housing. $227 million dedicated to mortgage lending to low and moderate income individuals and in low and moderate income communities, small business lending in low income and moderate income communities, and then $71 million of transformational philanthropic investments. In the next column over, you see that $900 million is part of about $21.2 billion that we've invested in communities across our national footprint. And that of that investment, Cleveland makes up about 4.2% of the total amount we've invested. On the far right-hand side of the slide, you see $16.5 billion. That is the original target of our community benefits plan. I would highlight for you that that's the high-level aggregate financial commitment. And we continue to work on executing the broader set of commitments that were associated with the plan. Specifically in Cuyahoga County, the bottom half of the slide highlights a few different activities that I thought would be of interest in the group. So helping to drive that $419 million you see above, you can see that since 2019, we've supported the creation of several affordable housing units in Northeast Ohio, in developments like Colfax Home, St. Luke's, Viasana at Metro Health that's being built now, as well as Forest City and Slavic Village. I also wanted to highlight that we've invested more than $2 million in the Lead Safe Cleveland Coalition Fund, which is really to support a community-wide effort to remediate lead in rental properties throughout the city. From 2017 to 2019, you see some volunteer service there. The reason that is we went through 2019 is because in 2020, we shifted our annual day of volunteerism to virtual, though we still had more than 50,000 hours of volunteerism. And then lastly, I would just want to highlight that throughout Cuyahoga County, our employees serve on more than 80 nonprofit boards throughout the community. From a product perspective, in 2020, we launched Key Smart Checking, which is a free checking account that has no monthly maintenance fee or minimum balance, no transaction requirements, and does provide expanded access to a large ATM network. I would share with you that that's in addition to a product that we've had in our portfolio for a long time, KeyBank Hassle Free, which is a no overdraft, no fee checking account that often is very relevant for un- and underbanked individuals. And then lastly, from a philanthropic perspective, just a couple of highlights again, that pieces and parts that make up some of the $71 million you see above. $2.1 million to United Way in Greater Cleveland to address systemic poverty. We recently announced a $1.5 million gift to the Metro Health System, specifically focused on their Institute of Hope, and also $250,000 to the Cleveland Foundation's Black Futures Fund. If I move along, I know mortgage is obviously a major concern of this team, and so I wanted to, or of the subcommittee. This slide is not Cleveland or Cuyahoga County specific, but I did want you to have a sense for the things that Key has done and will do to grow affordable lending throughout our footprint and across our business. And so on the left-hand side of this slide, you see things that we've already done, including adjusting mortgage originator comp to put more focus on volumes of production, including a specific incentive for loans in low and moderate income communities. We have hired an affordable underwriting manager in the first quarter of 2021, are building out, or started to build out and continue to build out an affordable lending team. And then also in 2021, we've added a product management manager focused specifically on low and moderate income communities and how our products meet the needs of our communities. On the go-forward actions, a couple of things I would highlight. We do plan to enhance our community lending incentive in 2022, and we will continue to add affordable lending staffing to really drive production and capability across the markets. You see from a training perspective, we will continue to train our teams on the products that we have. And then the only other one I would really want to highlight for you is under the engagement category, that we have presented a proposal to and gotten approval from our executive team to join something called the Black Home Ownership Collaborative, which is really a national effort that is made up of both financial institutions, civil rights organizations, and home ownership advocates, with a commitment to create 3 million net new Black homeowners by 2030. And so we are in the early stages of that endeavor with that initiative, but we'll be taking part in that going forward. Before I turn it over to Chanel, who's going to talk specifically about where we are on the commitments in Cuyahoga County, I also wanted to provide some overview on our response from a pandemic. I won't walk through this slide in detail, but wanted you to know that as our commitments with Cuyahoga County started during the pandemic, this became a big shift in focus for us early on in the time period of our commitments to make sure that we were meeting the needs of the community in a time when I think our community has needed us most. And so, again, I'm not going to walk through this in detail, but just wanted you to have the context as you think about. I know some of the commitments have moved a little slower than maybe we wanted, but I think there's good reason in many cases, given some of the focus on taking care of things that were unique to the last 18 months or so. So with that, let me turn it over to Chanel to walk through where we are with the Cuyahoga County commitment specifically.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Chanel Smith, and I'm the Vice President of Sustainability and Social Impact at KeyBank, really focused on community engagement. So even during, how did you, oh. So even during the pandemic, KeyBank still put forth our best efforts and continue to do so to meet the commitments, the Cuyahoga County commitments we made back in 2020. We perceived 7 of those 8 commitments to be complete. And this afternoon, myself and Amanda will give some highlights on those commitments and progress made to date on others, and shares Key's perspective on the proposed metrics and goals. As we move through the remainder of this presentation, please use this slide really as a reference for the progress that we've made on completed commitments and what we have coming up as far as this discussion.
Could you hit print on that and get us 10 copies?
Thank you. So Eric has already mentioned some of the investments that we're making to support affordable home lending. Those include new compensation plan that was launched in 2020, and we continue to do that going forward in 2021 and into 2022. But also with a focus on supporting our community development loan officers in the work that they do in the community in Cuyahoga County. When it comes to the low-cost check cashing, and KeyBank will provide an alternative to payday lending options. We launched KeyBank Plus in 2004, and since then there have been other products and services, some app-based, or you can go to their grocery store and cash a check these days. But today, KeyBank Plus is located in 10 branches in Cuyahoga County. But long-term, one of our products that Eric has already mentioned, Hassle-Free, which actually is a bank-on certified product, provides the greatest access to checking, but also it offers free check cashing to clients in Cuyahoga County and across our footprint.
Eric Fiala, for KeyBank again. The only other comment I would add on KeyBank Plus, so this team is aware, is that is available not just for KeyBank clients. In fact, it's a product that is for non-clients of Key. So this is anyone that doesn't have a banking relationship would be able to, use this product, particularly for government and payroll checks. But that is a service available to the broader community at large, not just KeyBank clients.
Thank you. Back to Chanel. And so when it comes to data sharing, KeyBank, I think in the early spring of 2021, we provided the data to the county, and we will continue to do that pursuant of regulatory guidance. And so I think, I think the county was able to send a request to us via the county treasurer, Mr. Murray, and we were able to provide that data, and Key will continue to do that to this committee and to Cuyahoga County. Eric talked a little bit about what we've been doing to expand affordable mortgage products. And although Fannie Mae retired the program, in particular the Home Ready program, Key has continued on this journey of investing in infrastructure when it comes to our own teammates, our own employees, but also some of those things that he mentioned as far as training, signing on to the Black Home Ownership Collaborative, and also increasing compensation for our community development loan originators. So with the HELP loan, the Key has continued to be a partner on the HELP loan, and between and I just wanted to share some data on the HELP loan in particular. Between 2020 and now, we've invested $3.8 million in that product, I guess you can say, and have done over 100 loans to county residents. And I'm sorry, my glasses are fogging up because of the mask, so I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm here. And so the other news that I want to share with you all, especially when it comes to SBA lending, in 2020, of course, PPP was our focus. And in the Cleveland market, We funded 845 million loans, and that was nearly 4,400 loans in the Cleveland market. And we definitely have some good news when it comes to SBA lending. KeyBank has doubled the number of unit loans across the country to 847 loans. And right now, KeyBank is ranked top 3 in the Cleveland SBA market when it comes to SBA lending, and top 10 across the country. So our line of business banking, has made major investments in making sure that we're serving the needs of small businesses in Cuyahoga County, not just for PPA lending or PPP servicing, but also for other small business loans as we continue to move out of the pandemic.
The other one I would highlight on this last, is the last one on this slide, which is really around the transaction fee reductions. I think this is a level of specificity different than what you've seen in our previous updates. So these are in Cuyahoga County specifically. So the commitment here was around reducing loan transaction fees on loans less than $150,000. So you see there are a few different categories of our loan. First is government lending, so our FHA or VA products have now receive a price credit of 2 points on loans up to $75,000, and then a credit of 0.5 points for loans between $75,000 and $100,000. These also receive differentiated pricing, lower pricing for loans with credit scores below 680. On the Key Community Mortgage Program, which would be loans also under $150,000, they could be even more. In Cuyahoga County, there's a 0.625% rate decrease. And then on conventional loans, so the traditional kind of 30-year conforming type of loans, both purchase and refinance, all loan level pricing adjustments have been removed or eliminated for loans below $100,000. So I think against each major category of lending that we do, discounts specifically in Cuyahoga County on each of those.
Chanel again. So these are the commitments that we definitely consider to be in progress, and commitments that we are making progress towards in partnership with you all who are members of this committee, but also community members who aren't here today. In particular, when it comes to the challenge loan, we've had numerous discussions, both internally but also with external partners, about some of the challenges that we see with the challenge loan, whether it's being denied before you're approved, the higher requirement for the LTV, or even residents knowing that that product is available, but also the limitation of that product only being available in Cleveland Heights. And so recognizing those problems, we've really shared that with our internal working group, which includes myself, Amanda, and also the home lending product manager, to really untangle where can Key really unlock the key, right, for the challenge loan, and really to meet the moment when it comes to this particular product. We're not exactly ready to go into details today publicly, but I can share with you that we have made, I would say, progress internally, and we're continuing to have internal conversations about where can we move forward with that product. And we're very hopeful that we're going to be able to create a product that can meet the need of our community, but also a product that we can build around, so that we have the product, but we also have the technical assistance and the other wraparound services that organizations like HRRC provide for our community, with also a focus of expanding it beyond Cleveland Heights, but throughout Cuyahoga County. And so we actually have our next internal meeting is October 18th, and those are weekly meetings. So I just wanted to say that although to you all it may seem slow, we are working diligently internally to go through the internal risk and regulatory requirements that we need to as a financial institution.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amanda Petrak. I am the Corporate Responsibility Officer for all of Northern Ohio. My territory includes Toledo, Cleveland, Akron, Canton, Youngstown, and Erie. Happy to be with you all today. From a CDFI creation standpoint, our commitment was to work with CHN Housing Partners to help support their new CDFI, CHN Housing Capital. I'm happy to report today that we have invited CHN Housing Capital to apply for a grant for support from the CDFI, and additionally for CHN Housing Partners, we have offered $400,000 to continue to support their Family Success Program as we have in the past. Back to Chanel.
Thank you, Chanel again. So I kind of want to talk about these next two items, 1 and 2, a little bit together, although I definitely understand that they are two distinct issues. Many of you participated in the learning session that we had about the Detroit Home Mortgage program. And that was really recognizing, I think at Key, we really recognized that in order to solve for this particular problem is that there is a need for a public-private partnership with Key Bank, other financial institutions, local government, local municipalities, and even the philanthropic community. And so we really convened that group to really unpack and understand what were the challenges in Detroit, what was happening in Detroit, and maybe there are some pieces from what they've done in Detroit that really can be brought here to Cuyahoga County. A part of that meeting, it wasn't just us from corporate responsibility. We also invited our home lending team because as the product managers and the folks who execute the loans and the sales, it's important that they really understand how other financial institutions continue to meet the need of their community. And so it's our hope that we can continue to be in partnership with the county, but also in partnership with practitioners and advocates to come together and really solve for this challenge. I think it's really important for us to figure out how to work with the county, but also the city of Cleveland and other municipalities to really talk about, how do we leverage ARPA dollars, but also how do we create a sustainable product and a sustainable program to really meet this challenge? Because we have a product, Key Community Mortgage, that provides small dollar loans, but how can we bring that to scale?
Yeah, this is Eric Fiala. I think the other piece I would add on here is by hosting this session, we aren't implying that Detroit Home Mortgage is the solution. We are just looking at various models. So I appreciate those from the committee that were able to attend that session and learn. And if there are other models across the country that we should be looking at, we're happy to take a look at those as well. I think it's just an opportunity. We've heard great things, we've heard not great things about that program. So let's just be realistic that may not be the exact answer, but probably has elements and components we can draw from to create a solution that really works here.
Thank you. Did it go backwards?
I got it. Don't touch this.
I won't. It's back to Amanda.
Okay. Amanda Petrek again, Corporate Responsibility Officer for Northeast Ohio. From a community reinvestment fund standpoint, we've been working with them on their Connect to Capital program. KeyBank has provided all of the small business declination data since 2018 to them, for them to analyze it and determine the opportunities to find a match for funding through their vast network of CDFIs. CRF also, from the Connect to Capital program, they do provide both capital and technical assistance to funding recipients, and we have started the process internally through our vendor risk assessment to determine if they can be a vendor for KeyBank, and we can work with them on our declinations. Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I'll just add, I think that was a great overview. This analysis showed that a significant portion of our small business loan declines would be able to be resourced or matched with a funding partner through this network of CDFIs that CRF has called Connect to Capital. The vendor assessment piece is just as we look at kind of sharing clients or even potentially data, what would that look like? But this one I think has a lot of really strong internal support, and so we're looking forward to getting this off the ground in a short time period.
Go ahead.
Oh.
All right, thank you. Chanel again. So regarding the financial literacy series, KeyBank has already worked in partnership with Cuyahoga County to provide financial education and also participate in 2 job fairs in the central neighborhood. And I believe there's another one coming up in late October that we will also participate in. But we're also exploring community partnerships with MyCom and possibly the Cleveland branch of NAACP to implement a financial education series where KeyBank will support the series, but our KeyBank employees, teammates will actually be the instructors of that. And of course, as the commitment mentions and says, we will work with those children or persons who are aging out of foster care, and we already have a connection within the Health and Human Services Department who we will work with to execute that program. So regarding the proposed metrics and goals, we were able to review those and, of course, have internal conversations. And what KeyBank can commit to is that a part of our quarterly updates to this committee, KeyBank will provide product level detail, dollar amounts, and a number of loans on those programs and products that we have in partnership with Cuyahoga County, including the County Help Loan, the Challenge Loan, the Home Heritage Program. From a products perspective, in particular, our Key Community Mortgage Program, we will ask the committee to continue to rely on the HMDA data, and we will provide that data in a timely manner upon request. And also, as a part of this, KeyBank, as a part of the National Community Benefits Plan, KeyBank does report out to a National Advisory Council and the Great Lakes Advisory Council on our progress made on community development, affordable housing, home lending, business, and in philanthropy. And we will like to make the commitment to share those updates that we share with that committee to NCRC, to also this subcommittee before us here today. The last thing I will say, as far as the targets and the goals, as part of the National Community Benefits Plan, is that we do have targets and goals. And when we report out to you quarterly on progress made on those aforementioned pillars, we will also report out and share where we are when it comes to targets and goals. And so these are the four items that we see as next steps. We really want to continue collaboration with this committee, with individual organizations, with local governments. We strongly believe that we're not going to be able to meet the moment and really drive solutions in partnership with community unless we're at the table, and we need to be at the table with you all. And so we will continue to move forward on these commitments with a focus on small dollar home repair products and providing the Second Chance program for those declined small business applicants, and also externally working on executing the financial education series. And also continue to provide quarterly reporting that's a part of our National Community Benefits Plan. KeyBank is also committed to actively listening. I think some of you have participated in our listening sessions. We will also, this fall and this winter, we will be hosting community listening sessions with the National NCRC, and also the one in Ohio. I was going to say Cleveland, but it's for Ohio. Will be hosted on December 17th, and you should NCRC. We'll be able to provide an invitation to those who are members of NCRC. I don't see Ms. Barber here, but I'm pretty sure she
won't be here today.
Likely received an invitation to participate in those listening sessions. So these are the next steps that we see as follows. I think I just want to close and say that we are committed to the commitments, but more importantly, we are committed to the intent of the commitments, recognizing that there are housing challenges in our community and the role that we as a financial institution can play and will play here in our hometown. So thank you all for this opportunity to be engaged with you all and be in community with you all.
Thank you. This time, I'd like to open it up to my colleagues on the committee. Questions, comments? Sally?
I have a couple questions. Can we talk a little bit more specifically about loan officer compensation? Because I noticed on the first slide, I think it was a reduction of hourly rate and putting more onto the production side. And I know this is an area that the bank has struggled with for some time. And so is that, in your estimation, going to work?
Yeah, so Eric Fiala, I think we are seeing some differences in terms of the amount of production. In particular for our community development loan officers, as compared to a traditional loan officer, there was a higher mix of salary for the community development. And so to put more of that in production-based pay means you're incenting them more to be out in the communities, to be generating that volume. And then in addition to that change, all loan officers, so not just those that are community development focused, were eligible for that community lending incentive, which essentially provided a kind of kicker, an add-on for mortgages done that I would broadly say we were CRA eligible, so to low and moderate income borrowers or low and moderate income communities.
Has that been rolled out, or is it
Yeah,
still in process?
that was rolled out earlier this year, and so for the 2021 comp plan. In 2000, and I can't talk about the details of this yet publicly, but I can tell you in 2022 it'll be enhanced to make it even more attractive.
Okay, so you've seen benefits so
Yeah.
far. The other piece was with CHN Housing Partners, they're originating first mortgages, small dollar first mortgages. Does the bank have an appetite to season those and service those the way Huntington Bank is doing?
You want to talk about CHN?
Chanel Smith here. So we are starting those conversations with Kevin and CHN. We actually just met this week. And so we will go through our process with community development and lending and home lending to evaluate Key's participation in that program. So
Thanks.
we've been doing a lot with CHN.
It's good.
Yeah, and I think the invitation for funding that Amanda mentioned is specifically for the CDFI
It's
to
wonderful.
start to see some capital there.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Seren.
Thank you. Just a quick technical question about the requirement for a written request for data. Is there a restriction on who can make that request from the county? How often, or what the method is? Is that something that we could sort of get an explanation of, not necessarily here, but possibly in some other form?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to. I don't, just as at a high level, I don't think it has to be terribly formal. I think it was just an email sent over. It just has to be after we file the data. So I think that's after March 31st.
So if the clerk sends you an email
Yeah.
requesting the sharing of the data, it can be returned to us fairly promptly. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. McDermott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, two things I'm really excited to hear about. One is the Bank On eligible product that you have, and I know you're active in the Bank On Coalition. Maybe you could actually talk to because I don't want to do it. Maybe you could actually talk to the committee for 2 minutes. I think it would be helpful, in my opinion, to know what the Bank On eligible product is. And then I'll stop after this. But I'm really excited about the decrease in loan transaction fees. I think we'd all agree that understanding the typical consumer's understanding of loan fees, you might as well go to Harvard to try to figure that out. So I'm wondering how you make that information available, or how your loan folks do or your branch folks do, make that information available so people are understanding the actual impact and the savings through those. So those two items. Thanks.
Good. So this is Eric Fiala again. On Bank On, and feel free to expand. Bank On is an organization through the Cities for Financial Empowerment that certifies financial products as being customer-friendly or safe banking products. And that is, there is an entire list of criteria. I won't attempt to go through it today. But basically, it's criteria around, overdraft practices, monthly maintenance fees, minimum balances, opening deposit balances that ultimately say what are good, safe accounts for people primarily that have been or underbanked for them to enter into the mainstream financial system. And so we have, since I think Bank On started, our hassle-free account has been certified. I would also add that I think this has been a critical year for those types of products. You think about the government stimulus checks that have come in. It's been, where people may not have had a banking relationship, the ability for them to open an account, that works for them, has been more critical than I would say ever over the past couple of years. So Bank On also does a lot around financial education. And so as Chanel talked about some of the financial education efforts, we're also looking with them, what can we do here in Cleveland? But there are chapters nationally too that we have relationships with in other markets and see an opportunity to partner with them across the entire company. Probably best for me to take the mortgage fee question back, only because I know there are an incredible level of required disclosures during the mortgage process that I wouldn't want to misstate. So I'd be happy to follow up on that one.
If you'll send that in writing to us so that we can just forward it to all the members of the committee. Was that it for you, Mr. McDermott?
Thank you.
Mr. Ford, you always have questions.
So why am I so silent right now?
We need a few more minutes, and I go to Mr. Benjamin.
Oh, I would take a couple hours actually to review everything. But no, just one quick question. When would the first time be that you would provide quarterly information on the metrics that were requested? When would that happen? I mean, given we're talking about this current year, 2021, would the first quarter of 2021 be reported on at some point?
You want?
Yeah, go ahead. Chanel here. So we didn't necessarily have an internal conversation about that, but so I'm pretty sure we would be willing to probably by the end of this year just do a look back per quarter and provide that information before the end of this year, and then we can start reporting quarterly going into 2022.
Okay. And I'm looking at it says we'll provide product level data for the loan products and programs in partnership with Cuyahoga County. So it wouldn't necessarily be all of the detail that was proposed in the metrics that were proposed to you. It would be more limited than that. Is that my understanding?
So Chanel again, yes, it would be, except that the only thing that we wouldn't be for those particular specialty loan products is I think you all requested us to set goals and targets. So that's the one piece when it comes to the specialty loan products that's not included. But we are more than willing to provide the number of transactions and the transaction volume on those particular products, especially as we are right now evaluating how we can improve these products, right? And so I think there's going to be more conversation about the improvement of them, especially over the next few months in the first quarter of next year, then probably more conversations about the volume and the transaction level.
Okay.
That said, and it would be wrapped into the total, but when you do see the overall performance reporting against the community benefits plan within Cleveland, that will have the mortgage volume of not just the partnership products, but the proprietary products as well.
Right.
I had another question, but I forgot it. Sorry. Maybe I might remember it later.
I want to build on
Sure.
Frank's question for just a minute. Thank you, Mr. Ford. We're government and nonprofits, and we like simple charts. We're not HUD or HMDA or any of those folks who like the complicated, or Federal Home Loan Bank or the Federal Reserve. So we would like for you to pull out as many of those categories as you can and answer them just the way we structured them, because they resemble the 13 priorities that you agreed to. And so we need to see those as like a subset of the bigger picture that you give us. And I think that we will feel more comfortable with what you've said to us if we can see, for example, on the first one, where we said we hope you would do 20, and you say, our goal is to do 25, and here's the report at the end of the year, and we did 30. So now we see that you are quite capable of setting a goal that's a little bit higher than ours and achieving that. So those are the kinds of things we'd really like to see. Right, Frank?
No, thank you. You said it better than I could.
Mr. Benjamin?
Yeah, I don't have much to questioning here. I'm encouraged by the progress and the fact that you are still interested in being collaborative with us as you have in the past. The commitments in progress, though, look to me to be the big ones. And I don't know if you have any way to put a time frame on these. I mean, some of them has already been more than years, so if you could put some kind of time frame on when you think there will be an end date, that
Yeah.
would be good.
Thank you. This is Eric Fiala. I'd like to come back with that. I think in the next step slide that Chanel shared, you really see those areas, in particular around step 2, moving commitments forward. The small dollar home repair product, the second chance program, financial education, those are the 3 that we are, day in and day out, we are focused on. And so I think as a outcome of your next working sessions, we could come back with proposed timing on those. I appreciate the feedback, though. Those are the harder ones in some cases, so they are taking a bit more time.
We have 2 staff members who were key in helping us get to this point. Mr. Herdig and Mr. Murray, is there anything we didn't touch on in our dialogue with the representatives of Key?
Can I go sit up there? Yeah. Purnell comes in, tell him I'm in disrespect. Thank you, Chair Paul Herdig, Department of Development. Try this again. Paul Herdig, Department of Development. Also acknowledge, in addition to Treasurer Murray, Sarah Parks Jackson, Deputy Director for Housing Community Development, is also here and has also fully participated. We have participated in planning meetings both with committee staff and with Key Bank, and our understanding is Key Bank has attempted to meet squarely the request that was submitted, and that while Key Bank has not fully provided everything that was requested, Key Bank has attempted to address each part of the request. So short answer is we don't see anything they've missed addressing, although we want to acknowledge they've not indicated 100% agreement with all the requests, but we believe they've addressed everything.
So it looks like we're at about 75% now? Yes? Approximately. So we have some details to handle with the transition and how we approach the challenge grant. It's pretty comprehensive. And then some of the other progressive issues. Was there anything that the administration wanted us to take an additional look at with them?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, just want to make sure we covered all our bases. Since we're all here, you don't want to go home and then go, why'd they email us that when we were in the room with them? Okay, thank you, Mr. Herdig. Thanks to your colleagues at the back of the room. Mr. Sarin.
Just one really quick question. Looking at the product level data, this is going to be provided sort of county-wide product level data. Is there any possibility of even regionally within the county sort of having a little bit more detail in terms of geographic location of this data? Not as, obviously not addresses, but municipalities, or if we could specify different areas of the county that we're focusing on, inner ring, outer ring, central city, those, some sort of greater level of detail?
I think we do need some subsets, because one of the things I noticed on the very first page is when you talked about some of your profile products and projects, for example, Colfax, there wasn't one suburban project among those. And while we all do on county council and the activities that, and the organizations you see represented on this advisory council are diverse. They're both inner city and the suburban communities. We really want to focus on how you're reaching into, especially our inner ring suburbs, our mature suburbs, because in many ways, what has happened in the core city is beginning to happen in those traditional suburban communities that are mature. And we need to partner with the leadership in those communities. That's why we have a couple of mayors on our advisory committee, so that there are actually real accomplishments that we can turn to and see from our relationship with you. And so that's why the subsets are incredibly important. And then one of the other things in I think it was page 3, where we talked about the number of small businesses. You gave a national number, but you did not give a Cuyahoga County number. So I saw 937 or something like that flash in front of my face, and I'm like, they did 937 loans in Cuyahoga County? Yes! And then I was like, no, that word is national up above it.
Which page?
Do you see where I'm?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that, to the Chanel Smith again, to the chair, so we can provide clarification on that, especially at the Cleveland SBA district level. I think one of the things that we noticed when it came to the commitment, the $22 million, we think that is based on a full year and not an SBA fiscal year or calendar year.
Okay.
And so we are actually doing our due diligence to better understand the root where that number comes from, that 22 million.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, staff, I'm sorry, Mr. Ford?
Just a couple things. One, I want to say that I agree with Mark's comment earlier about the transaction fees and also the loan officer compensation. Those are two things that housing advocates asked for, and very pleased that you responded with those. The thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that we just got this literally 30 minutes ago. It's an absolute improvement from when you gave forget the last time you gave a presentation, but this is much more detailed. And so it's very possible that if I'd had this a week ago and spent time looking at it with other colleagues like Gary and Mark and others, we'd be here saying, yes, 70%, 75%. I'm reluctant to say that when I've only just looked at it and I'm not really absorbing it or comparing it to the document we submitted to them.
Agreed.
It may very well be that it's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. But I'd say in the future, could we get things earlier so that we have a little time to look at them before we actually are meeting with you?
So,
That's all.
Thank you. This is Eric Fiala. I think,
Okay.
appreciate the feedback.
Okay.
And absolutely, the answer to that is yes. I think it, as we kind of establish, which I think is helpful for us collectively to establish a regular cadence of updates, the information certainly be sent in advance.
Okay, thank you.
so in the future, we need at least 3 business days in advance. Typically mean we'd like to receive it on the Friday before, because that's how our staff sends things out. So just for future reference. I want to thank you for coming, because we want to get a presentation in from HRRC today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So how do we bring our nonprofit partner in?
Madam Chair, I'd also like the record to reflect that Mayor Blackwell is in attendance. Keisha, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So they're ready for you to present.
Can we bring her or her presentation up on screen?
Oh, sorry. Okay. We see it.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah? All right. So I would like to thank Madam Chairwoman Cheryl Stevens for inviting me to present, as well as say hello to my partners and colleagues around the table, and as well as to our partner here there at Key Bank for allowing me to present. Now, I want to preface this. I also thank you for accommodating my accommodations to not be in the room. I have some issues that I want to make sure I'm safe for. But I also wanted to make sure that, my colleagues understand, Frank Ford, Sally Martin, even Mayor Blackwell, who's in attendance, how long we've been on this soapbox, right? We've been really trying to navigate expanding this kind of critical tool throughout Cuyahoga County for some years now. I'll be celebrating my 5th year as executive director this year. And this started with my predecessor, Benjamin Fowler, who has now moved on. And these types of conversations have been going on for years. So we really find, small dollar home repair loans make a big difference. And a lot of my peers at CDCs and other partners are really trying to expand these efforts in an effort to give homeowners another tool that sometimes the financial institutions can't provide to be able to keep folks safe in their homes, and as well as protect their assets and equity as market values begin to rise. So again, my name is Keisha Allen. I'm Executive Director at Home Repair Resource Center, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what we do here at Home Repair Resource Center and talk about how we envision expanding the Challenge Fund. So Home Repair Resource Center was started in, or our mission statement is that we work to empower homeowners to maintain their homes for sustainable and diverse communities. And through our mission, we strive to promote community recognition of the need to preserve, maintain, and upgrade the areas of older housing so that it remains an attractive place to live with a stabilized housing stock. Home Repair Resource Center was founded in Cleveland Heights. We're one of the older inner ring suburbs in which a lot of our homes are facing being a century old. So when our founders wanted to begin this mission, we wanted to welcome in new homeowners who were leaving the city of Cleveland and kind of set the example and set the stage as to how to be great neighbors and good homeowners so they can be sustainable in our community. We also strive to address the forces that negatively impact maintenance of the housing stock through our education, advocacy, and programming. We also try to strengthen the financial management skills of homeowners. We are a HUD-approved counseling agency that provides the full suite of services, as well as assistance for first-time home buyers, and we administer the Cleveland Heights Down Payment Assistance Program as well. We're going to really talk about today. We also strive to guarantee bank loans for homeowners who need assistance in qualifying for financing, and to provide that financial help to homeowners of low to moderate income so that homes are repaired timely in an appropriate manner. When I talk about the Challenge Fund program, one of its benefits is that we are able sometimes to layer community development block grant funds, which we administer here in Cleveland Heights, as well as other grants that we've kind of been offered through some of our financial partners, one of those being Huntington, as well as US Bank. And we also provide tools, instructions, and other resources that enable homeowners to repair and maintain their homes economically. Now, as I say all of these things, we've been around, we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. So I'm sure almost everyone in the room knows the impact Home Repair Resource Center has had, especially in Cleveland Heights and the inner ring suburbs. And it's been my goal since becoming executive director to kind of share these secrets and tools with the greater Cuyahoga County, but not in the way that we want to ever dilute any of the services that we provide. We provide a quality set of comprehensive tools and resources that we want to be able to provide to all homeowners. This is kind of just an overview of our services, and just trying to, trying to show that we have our homebuyer education program, our financial education, down payment assistance, our very popular tool library, and our repair education series, which we plan to start up in person, hopefully in the spring. So a little bit about the actual reason why I'm here presenting to you. The Challenge Fund Loan Guarantee Program Many of the programs then and even now, not all homeowners meet the eligibility requirements for each bucket that maybe a financial institution has to offer. Income may be too high for a grant, but not too low to support an extra payment. Home equity sometimes doesn't support HELOC products. Medical bill or emergency expense may impact one's credit score, making them ineligible for many of the products. Loans are always a risk, so I understand that when I kind of present this to our financial partners. So when programs and banks analyze an applicant based on just the numbers, a lot of times they don't qualify. So what we do is we take a deeper dive into the client's financial history to see whether or not they really can support a loan payment. And this kind of is that piece that protects the financial institutions, right? Because we're going through that financial management and that financial capabilities process with the client to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, you maybe can afford a $50 loan if we stretch it out for 3 to 4 years in regards to trying to get that repair taken care of. So when we first started Home Repair Resource Center, again, it was primarily to promote the Challenge Fund. And it started through the Forest Hill Presbyterian Church, where they got some initial seed money. And from 1973 till now, we've been able to grow our loan loss reserve to over $160,000 with individual donations, grants, and from other area foundations. So like I said, what we're doing here is taking a second chance, or folks who we're kind of like that last resort program for homeowners to be able to get that repair. So a little bit about the program. It's open to 1 or 2 family homes. The property has to be in Cleveland Heights right now, but our board is working to change our bylaws to be able to have this program in other areas outside of Cleveland Heights. And again, this program is for homeowners who were unable to secure conventional financing and have sufficient resources to make the payment. The participants must be in good standing on their mortgage and property taxes. And again, this is another kind of intervention if a homeowner needs a repair, but we do some deep diving and find out they may have a balloon payment, not current on their mortgage, or need to contact the county to get on a tax payment plan. We kind of provide that intervention prior to actually getting the repair done. The program covers repairs that typically wouldn't be funded through federal programs. HUD has a very specific set of repairs that can be qualified for most grant programs. With this, we have the kind of carte blanche to be able to do repairs that wouldn't necessarily fall under most of those programs. So we're talking about garage demos, rebuild driveways, fencing, basements, as long as they're not point of sale violations or considered decorative. And so another thing we talk about is when we present this information to the client says, okay, I would like to apply for the Challenge Fund. They get that comprehensive financial counseling, project support, and project management. We're helping them select at least 3 contractors to provide them with estimates and bids. We're going through their financial circumstances to assure that they can make the payment. And then we're walking them through the process with them. We don't do for, we do with the client. We found that has been very crucial in the client, understanding the repair now and for the future, as well as the type of relationship and rapport we're creating with the homeowner. So when it comes to paying that money back, they feel not necessarily obligated, but compelled, because the intensive kind of comprehensive case management was placed for them to be able to get this repair done. So typically we go anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 for these types of repairs. And like Chanel mentioned, with the Challenge Fund, we are working through some tweaks and kind of processes that we want to take out. One of them being that the homeowner has to go through the embarrassing process of going to the bank, being rejected, and then having another analysis of board members, of HRC board members, look at their financial information and then propose what we find best fit for the homeowner in regards to repayment. When the program first started and before the market hit, we were able to recommend either a 40% or 100% guarantee on the loan. Since about 2012, we've only been receiving 100% guarantees. And again, I blame that largely on some internal things with Key, but also understanding the risk that the bank was taking coming out of kind of the housing crisis of 2008. So once we kind of assess the whole project, we go back to Key and we say to Key, okay, can you please approve this loan? They give us the recommendations, and then the contractor, the repair is done, the contractor is paid, and then the client is now a client of Key Bank, to where they pay Key Bank back based on their terms, which has been very good. And to date, when we talk about kind of the numbers, we've done 1,208 loans. And again, there's actually probably another probably 100 to 250 loans that I'm going through. Obviously, like I said, this place was started in 1971, so there's a lot of typewritten documents that I'm going through to try to get all the numbers back as to how many loans that we have completed. But in the digital era, I was able to pull out these numbers. We're averaging about 5,000 per loan. Again, where we're trying to provide the loan as well as grants and any other homeowner contribution to make sure the loan size is not too large. Our current loan exposure is at 22,000, meaning that's what we have out in regards to funds loaned. Currently, we have Key Bank as our only lending partner. This program was started by, I want to say, Cleveland Trust back in 1973, and has had support from several different banks going back to before when Key was Society, National City before it became PNC, and et cetera. And one of the kind of big things I like to look at is the years with the most loans was 26. And the year that we paid back most of our loans was 2015. And based on a little bit of analysis and research I've been doing, a lot of that was due to not really going through and making sure we could kind of prepare for what was going to happen with the mortgage and financial crisis. And we wound up paying off a big chunk of loans at that time. But even paying off those loans, we still are able to boast a 94% success rate, meaning that 94% of all of our loans are successful, with only 6% of a default. I said all that without that coming up. And this is a typical project in Cleveland Heights that we fund. This project is 923 Dresden Road. We did new roof with gutters. We painted the home, and garage roof was done. Again, these are things that could not be taken care of through just regular community development block grants due to the homeowner's income, as well as due to the type of repair that was getting done. So, as I stand on my soapbox so often and talk about how this program should be in every nook and cranny of inner ring suburbs and neighborhoods within the cities, is just why the success. And it pretty much boils down to trust. Relationships are critical to the success of this program. A client cares about getting their repair done. They wouldn't have come here. They wouldn't have bought the house if they just wanted to trash it, right? They care about their neighborhood. They care about their property values. A lot of people think that homeowners don't care about these things. So they care about an agency that cared enough to help keep their home in good repair when others didn't, which makes them care enough to repay that loan. So we're doing the back end of the work as a financial partner. The financial partner is going to get their money because of all the work that we put in on the back end to make sure that they're getting a quality repair. They're getting quality contractors, as well as, we are setting them up for success in being able to repay the loan. So, like we talked about expansion efforts, this has been going on for quite some time. We first approached Ohio Savings and New York Community Bank in 2016 with the help of Organize Ohio, the city of South Euclid, after we pretty much noticed that there were significant deposits in a lot of the cities that they did business in, but they weren't lending. Obviously now Ohio Savings has combined efforts and purchase another bank and continues not to lend in our area for the most part. So we then shop this to other partners such as Key Bank, Huntington, US Bank, to see if what we can do in regards to expanding this. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our partners at VAPAC, who I know a lot of the members who are in the room are part of. The Cuyahoga County stakeholders, GCRC, have really, put this program and backing these efforts to the forefront and having conversations with our financial institutions. Now, if we can get it to the end, that's where we'd be excited, where we get it funded. But there's been significant work being done. And now we are here when we talk about the county commitments. We were very excited, and we thought it was a big win when expansion was included into the 13 commitments. So as we all talked about, and the Key Bank representatives mentioned, these are all the with all the commitments. This was the press release. Obviously, everybody knows, from February 24th. And we saw this contract with the added commitments as a win. And if they were implemented, we would really start to meet the needs of many of the underserved neighborhoods in our region. So we were very much so excited about that. And we were also very much so excited that this subcommittee was created to kind of help those efforts become implemented. And one of the reasons why I'm presenting to you today. So when we talked about expanding, I knew, I'm a staff of 7 with 4 full-time employees. Right now, we are functioning in Cleveland Heights. We have a partnership with Shaker Heights, and we have partnerships with the Buckeye Woodhill neighborhood and other specific CDCs in middle neighborhoods. So Bel Air Puritas, Old Brooklyn. And what we have been trying to do is talk about a way, when we saw this kind of come out, talk about a way we can gradually expand our program. I'm a very realistic person, and I know that to be able to say that we're going to expand this throughout Cuyahoga County in a year or even 18 months would be something that we wouldn't be able to do, as well as it would dilute the quality of our product. So me and my team, as well as working with some other advocates, we decided, okay, let's focus on the areas that we are in, being Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights, and then expand to some of the inner ring suburbs that we see that there's a need. So we're talking about South Euclid and even as far east as Maple Heights, and then kind of pick and choose places based on zip code to kind of do a calculated expansion of this. So we identified 11 zip codes outside of Cleveland Heights to initially expand to Shaker Heights and Maple Heights and the Cleveland neighborhoods, like I said, of Bel Air Puritas, Old Brooklyn, and Buckeye Woodhill. And where these programs we look to expand, they already have other programs that we look to, maximize or layer benefits. So when we were talking about initially doing that, we would like to kind of work to do, 15 to 30 loans in maybe 12 months, just to show the county, as well as other financial partners, that there is an appetite for this project, and we just needed some additional seed money. So one, we were talking about capacity building in our growth request. We need to obviously add additional staff who can provide that financial counseling and project management that makes the program a success. As I explained, we're at a staff of 7, but we would like to have a dedicated staff member to focus on the expansion, to focus on the quality of case management and repair work done, and try to work with that. And then some of the challenges that we mentioned before, and we're trying to work on when we're talking about expanding, is the program can't be sustainable if we're going to be required to provide 100% guarantee for each loan. We're requesting our financial partners, whomever we holds our loan, really consider the sliding scale, or at least the 40% or 100% based on a homeowner's financial acumen, to be able to make sure that the reserve fund could be sustainable in the case that we hit a patch of defaults. We'd like to, increase the amount of funds that we have in the guaranteed pool. and to pay off defaults as needed. Again, we understand we don't want to have a bad credit rating with our partners. And I hate to be, almost conceited in a way, but I'm very confident that we will boast that same default record once we do expand this, because the team that I have targeted to be able to do this is very focused and making sure that we are able to deliver on this. And then, like I said, we always want to try to layer or maximize the benefit. So we're asking for grant funds to be able to use in conjunction with the challenge fund that will maximize that benefit and be used for smaller projects, perhaps if the challenge fund is not needed. So, what we're trying to say is we want to bring kind of our unique mix of a program to specific areas initially, show the county, show those neighborhoods, show our funder our partner Key, that there is an appetite. This can work on a grander scale to be able to get more homeowners the support they need, and to kind of turn this over into a way that is really one of the critical tools homeowners in Cuyahoga County can use, very similar to the Help Loan or the Heritage Program. So, like I said, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to present. Like I said, I feel like I'm speaking to a group of friends, as well as colleagues and partners, because I've been on this mission for at least 5 years now. And I will continue to be on this mission until I see that this program reaches the quality and capacity that it should. And we are able to provide small dollar home repair grants and loans to many more homeowners in the Cuyahoga County area. So I'll be willing to accept any questions or comments at this time. And thank you all for this opportunity.
Okay. As you've noticed, I let my colleagues go first. And sometimes they even ask the questions I want to ask. Who's going to start us out today? Frank? Mr. Ford, I'm sorry. Mr.
Yeah,
Ford.
well, Frank is
Excuse me,
fine.
Frank. Would you be able to turn on your camera, please?
I turned on the microphone. It is on.
No, not you. I was talking to Keisha.
Oh, Keisha. I was going to say, I don't have a mic camera control. Keisha, hi, it's Frank Ford.
Hi, Frank.
So one thing that you said earlier on was that you're looking to shift one aspect of the program from previously all 1,200 applicants had to be denied first for a loan. And I understand the Key Bank, and there's good reason for this, is looking at, well, how can we take this to scale? Well, maybe we shouldn't require people to be denied first. Maybe there's a way to do that. But I do want to point out one remarkable thing about the fact that what you've done over all these years, 1,200 borrowers with only a 6% default rate for people that have already been denied. That's extraordinary. And it makes me, although it makes me wonder, well, do you really want to change that aspect? But I do understand if you want to go to scale. I just don't know what that looks like, and maybe you haven't figured it out yet either. But I did want to point out for everybody's benefit, what a remarkable thing this is to have only a 6% default rate, and every one of the people you work with has been rejected. That's just extraordinary.
Let me interrupt you, Mr. Ford.
Yeah.
I have been working personally with HRC, its predecessor, FHC, since 1989. In fact, the building they're in, I figured out how to get it paid for. This is a remarkable agency that was faith-based, and it's matured and grown since the original faith-based investment. And so I have every belief that they can go to the next step, and that next step is to do volume. I think they have enough years under their belt where they have done a consistent volume with a small amount of money, and now it's time for us to collectively step up and invest more so they can grow, and in some ways maybe we see what can be replicated with other agencies, but I definitely want HRRC to have the first opportunity to grow before we go other directions.
Yes.
And Keisha knows how I feel. Most of Cleveland Heights knows how I feel.
Thank you,
Um,
Madam Chairwoman. Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. And yeah, it, you know, this is kind of like HRC, like you've helped since I've come here. It's kind of become my baby. This expanding this, and I mean, outside of giving you my Scouts honor, the way we've set up the program, it's set up to succeed. And having that dedicated staff, having the opportunity, like Chairwoman said, for us to grow internally, to be able to have the staff who are versed, knowledgeable, and talented to kind of fit that niche of folks who've been down on their luck, already been rejected, and empower and lift them up to say, hey, you are a homeowner in said city, Maple Heights, Cleveland Heights, South Euclid, Cleveland. And you care about your property, and we want to be able to help them. So I appreciate those kind words from both of you. In regards to Frank and growing to scale, I don't think it would dilute, or hurt our default record necessarily, especially if we are calculated about how we go to scale, and showing the results, showing hopefully that same success rate when we kind of go to a small scale, and then being able to grow upon that. So those are kind of our goals. So thank you.
So about 7 or 8 months ago, more, you sent me a memo that talked about what you needed to grow in the first stage. Could you repeat those numbers to this committee?
Yes, I can. So, like I said, we are really looking to be able to grow to have the capable staff to be able to have the program. To be able to have the program grown. Here we go. So pretty much what we have requested, and I've shared this with the subcommittee. I'm sure it's been passed around previously. Of course, my computer's not opening right now. All right. So kind of the numbers when we break down for capacity building and growth, we were talking about 150,000 per year for 5 years, totaling 750,000. The funds will cover hiring dedicated staff and promoting within to provide project management, in-depth counseling, and project assistance. We are asking for $350,000 per year for 5 years, totaling $1.75 million. Capitalize a guarantee fund administered by HRC and placed on deposit in accounts managed by HRC or with our current partner, Key Bank, or any other partner willing to join in. The funds would be restricted for use to guarantee loans in the program and to pay off defaults as needed. And the grant support was a third piece to provide $100,000 over 5 years, totaling $500,000 for yearly grant funds used in conjunction with the home repair loan to assist the cost of a repair, or can be used for smaller grants for the program participants not in need of a loan. So we would be able to have a pool of money to say, okay, said homeowner would be a perfect applicant for the challenge fund, but we also think supporting this program with grant funds, we believe that's how it's been so successful in Cleveland Heights, would continue to make it sustainable.
Okay, so in aggregate, you're requesting 1.5 million, is that correct?
Per year, yes. And so what I've asked from Cuyahoga County is to, I've asked for Key for the capacity building. I've had conversations with Key, and I'm sure I'll have new ones now that they've been here, and they've talked about this project, about they have an issue with the fact that since they house and service the loan, then the Key Bank Foundation, as well as Key Bank, not being able to necessarily fund the program or provide dollars to grow. So what I've kind of tweaked with that is to ask for the 150,000 for 5 years from Key, totaling 750,000 for that capacity growth. So that's the staffing, the marketing, the growth of the program. I was asking that 1.5 million from the county and other partners, as well as I was asking for the $500,000 from Key Bank to provide the grant pool to assist the benefit of a homeowner, or for homeowners who are not necessarily set up for the Challenge Fund program. And I've provided this proposal to Key Bank a few times, and I've also circulated it to the subcommittee.
Did our Department of Development get a copy?
I actually on Ms. Parks Jackson asked me to put the proposal in the ARPA conversations
Yes.
through community development. So
Yes.
I have done that per your request, per her request. So I have.
Okay. So, Sarah, I can get a response on this in the next 2 or 3 weeks? On what you see in it, whether it's a solid proposal or not? Okay. Because I obviously stated my biases already. I'd like to see us fund some portion of this as well. So we need to figure out which pieces of our pool of funds it's eligible for and what's available, given that there are a wide range of people who would like probably to spend our money 19 times. What was the last, when we added up the requests that came in for ARPA money? Was it at least 7 times? Okay. Other comments, Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Sorry for being late. It's not close enough. Thank you. Hi, Keisha. It's good to see you, and everyone here. So I'm stuck on the expansion efforts, and you know why. We've had a couple conversations. So I do understand that there's a proposal to the county for the development department or division, I believe. I'd love to hear more because I don't think I understand exactly what's the next step in determining. I see the zip codes. What does that effort look like? Specifically talking about Maple Heights, which of course will probably be the same for the other cities that you spoke of earlier in your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, so once we get that dedicated staff, we will contact the housing departments of the said city. So South Euclid, Maple Heights, obviously Shaker Heights, and go through kind of like the program outline. When we look to do depending on how funding goes, I look to do 50 loans in those areas. I think that will happen very quickly once we have staff engaged with the housing department. I've spoken to you previously. I've spoken with Sally to say that folks would be queued up to be ready to apply. So we would separate them based on, I would try to do maybe 8 in each zip code initially, see the progress of those, to get some data analysis and research. And it all pretty much depend on funding. If the full proposal is funded, then we would look to scale that up to maybe 10 to 12 in each zip code for the first 12 to 18 months, get some data, do some analysis and research, and then look to see how we can scale them up going forward from there. So funding is the crucial piece. As soon as I can get that staff member, here and we actually make those connections with the housing departments or the CDCs in those areas, I think we already have marketing material and things ready to go to get these loans already started. So,
Keisha, is there a way that these individual cities can participate? And I'll be more specific. The city of Maple Heights has had almost a 4-year relationship with Slavic Village heading into our 5th year. We took some of that money and created a special revenue fund to create a paint program. And this year we gave out grants for a paint program. Perhaps we have this discussion earlier instead of us limiting ourselves to putting money in a special revenue fund for paint program. We begin to talk about what that relationship is. And as we look at the dollars that we this comes back to the city from the Slavic Village partnership and the sales of those homes, that we begin to create some revenue for this partnership. So I'd love to talk about that more. And we had about 50 applications, and we're able to help about 12 families. I think there's 18 families that are remaining. But it sounds like we could do something more comprehensive working with your organization. Mm-hmm. And so we're on the right track, but we certainly could not limit it. We could limit it beyond paint if we think about that now, and we're heading towards budgeting. So perhaps I reach out to you after this and see how we should be pursuing that going forward as we're thinking to continue that program and put those dollars in a special revenue fund.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that to the point. That's pretty much how our partnership with Shaker Heights kind of evolved They are not an entitlement community, so they do not have CDBG funded dollars set aside for grant programs. So what they did is they set aside money from their budget, from tax revenue, to actually pull in a pool of money, and we actually administer all of their housing programs. So we do an exterior maintenance grant for Shaker Heights, a paint program, as well as a senior home care assistance grant. So we do all of those things in conjunction, and we get a small fee to be able to administer. But then with that, they get the expertise that's involved with everything. So we take that kind of off the shoulders of the housing department there at Shaker, and we wrap our expertise and our programming around Shaker Heights residents who would naturally apply. But not only do they get the monies, but now they get the contractor evaluations, and recommendations. They get the project management. Funds aren't paid, so we really come into cities such as Maple Heights and Shaker to kind of just supplement and enhance the housing department, who we understand is trying to redevelop properties, infill lots and things like that. So we just want to kind of be a support for those housing departments. So those cities or municipalities who would get that would also become a partner city. And becoming a partner city, all of your residents get to be eligible for the tool library. They get discounts off our repair education classes. They get free technical assistance to be able to call, as well as contractor evaluation. So we can definitely look how we can expand that, and perhaps make Maple Heights a partner city, just such as Shaker Heights and Euclid is currently.
Other comments? No, and we've reached, usually we end our meetings at an hour to an hour and a half. We're at the hour and a half mark. Keisha, I want to thank you for holding on a little bit longer. I thought it would only be about 30 minutes with Key, and it was a little more. I think you have some allies here, as you said when you started, and so we're going to try and figure out, especially since the county is about to go into its budgeting process. In fact, we start tomorrow. So it's now time to talk about how we provide some additional support. If there are no other questions or comments for the good of the order, I'd like to bring this meeting to closure. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Without further ado, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.